What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Gennady Golovkin. Gennady Golovkin, you know, he has had a bumpy or an interesting introduction to the zone. He was going to set to fight Brandon Adams, but that was pulled from his grasp by Jermall Charlo. Okay, so that's out. Now, another opponent is Hasim Endam, which Hasim has some pretty good wins, some pretty good fights. He has a decent resume. He has a great chin. You know, you can ask David Lemieux and Peter Quillen about that because they couldn't put this guy away. But the thing is, me counterpunching Gennady Golovkin, I understand the model with any type of signing, new signing. And the model is always start off with a decent touch. Brandon Adams, you know, is a guy that he wanted to fight, yeah? So, he wanted to fight him, right? Okay, but this is the same Brandon Adams that was beat by Willie Monroe, and Golovkin beat Willie Monroe a couple of years ago. You know what I mean? Like, easy. He even let Willie Monroe tee off on him, you know, taking those shots to the head, you know? Because he knew that he didn't really have any power coming from him. So, you know, this guy, Willie Monroe, took out Brandon Adams. So it was a good thing, because I don't think the touch should be supposed to be that soft. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't just want to start off at this level when you know you are already up here. And besides, I think that Gennady Golovkin should fight. He has 6 fights, mind you. Now they can't all be soft touches because the zone wants their investment for signing Gennady Golovkin. You know what I mean? They're not going to give you money to just fight a bunch of nobodies. You know what I mean? That's not going to happen. So I don't see that happening. The funny thing about it is, you know, Gennady Golovkin wants to fight Canelo Alvarez, even if he loses. Okay. Well, even if he loses, that means he'll have no belts. Okay. That means Danny Jacobs will be the guy with the belts. Now, mind you, that tells us that he has no intention, none, of getting those belts back. No type of unification whatsoever if Canelo Alvarez loses in his belts and he doesn't want to fight Danny Jacobs, you know, unless he's confident that Canelo will win. You know what I'm saying? So that might be the reason he decided to say that. But, you know, I don't know what his fixation on Canelo is. You know, he's wasted time fight. I mean, not wasted, because those were 2 very good fights. But, you know, all BS aside, man, you know, Gennady Golovkin has had a career of not facing the best opposition in that class, especially the champs. He did eventually fight Danny Jacobs, yeah, in a close fight. It was a good fight, a good close fight. Now, all the other fighters at the time, you know, back then when supposedly he was the boogeyman of the middleweight division, and then people started calling him out, and then the opposition that he decided to face. You know, he gets full credit for David Lemieux, but David Lemieux showed us from the Billy Joe Saunders fight that he's limited. He has hard punching power, but he's limited and can be hurt. Gabe Rosado hurt David Lemieux in a fantastic fight. I love Gabe Rosado. Nothing against him. But it seems like to me, when you follow a pattern, okay, in the choices that you pick, you know, and especially at the age that he's at, he should take better fights, man. Don't just fix it on Canelo because you're familiar with Canelo. Fight Andrade. Fight, you know, the Billy Joe Saunders fight. You know, that was once upon a time going to happen. And Billy Joe said it himself, like, this is the first. I've never not fought a dude and signed 2 contracts. So, you know, it's just weird how they decide to do soft touches. You know what I mean? And it just doesn't make any sense to me. It just does sound like duck all over it. Because you try to pick Brandon Adams, and that got snatched from you. you know, and then you didn't want to fight Jamal Charlo, and then and then the reason from his trainer was, oh well, he hasn't proved himself yet. And I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, you didn't want to fight Lara years ago when you were considered the boogeyman, right? But you fought Kell Brook. You fought Kell Brook coming from 147, but you couldn't fight Erislandy Lara coming from 154. That was weird. And what we know on how Canelo was able to keep away from Golovkin, punch him hard enough just to keep him honest, that shows you Lara had a good shot of beating Golovkin. That's why Abel Sanchez didn't want a fight like that. And what we also know with Golovkin and Mayweather, because a lot of people used to say that. Remember that? Oh, man, Golovkin, he'll crush Mayweather with the body punching. No, I don't think he would. The way Mayweather moves, someone that moves like that, no. He would have to corner him, but look, could he even corner and cut off the ring with Canelo? You know what I mean? Canelo sidestepped him, made his body invisible to hit by just simply stepping to the side, made less of a target. Golovkin was kind of pawing like a damn cheetah cat or something, pawing at water. He really didn't know what to do, so he showed that he was limited. So coming in there with guys that are with different styles, I think that's what kind of sways their perception, or someone that has a great handicap of inexperience or a bad chin or smaller, you know what I mean? And it's bad for Golovkin because I want to see Golovkin fight the bigger guys, but look what he's done in the last 2 years. You know what I'm saying? You fought Canelo twice, 1-2 a draw, the other was a loss. Even though I think he beat Canelo, but it's like this. He didn't beat him by much. You know what I mean? And you fought Vanes Martirosyan when he could have fought anybody else. He could have fought Andrade then, but he didn't want to. So, like these fighters, man, they're turning into businessmen. Golovkin fucked up a long time ago when he let the IBF belt go. When they stripped him of the IBF, I knew that was going downhill at that point. He may not ever get the middleweight belts back. And like Canelo now, I think Canelo will see what Canelo does. He's been in the ring with Golovkin. He knows Golovkin carries a jab. You know what I mean? He's a strong puncher, but he's limited. So Golovkin is one of those guys that only wants to fight certain fighters. Fight everybody. I get tired of saying that, and again, that makes his case, and people criticize him. That makes them legit, and he's giving them reason to. You're not fighting Andre. You didn't fight Billy Joe Saunders. The only person you wanted to fight was Canelo, right? And it's like, okay, were you doing it for the money or are you doing it for the belts? He got the WBC. He gave that belt up. So, I mean, that couldn't have been what it is because all he really had to do from that point was fight Billy Joe to become undisputed. And he didn't want to do that. He chose to get money. So, therefore, Gennady Golovkin is a businessman now. I guess could be a good and bad thing. It's a good thing because you want to take care of your family and secure your legacy. It's a bad thing, not really your legacy, your banking account. It's a bad thing because you don't want to fight the best to secure your legacy. So that's all bad for Gennady Golovkin. And him picking Brandon Adams as a first pick, that's piss poor in my book. I have to counterpunch that. Because Golovkin is at that pinnacle. You fought the pinnacle fighter. You want to fight someone equal, equal or higher or nothing below that. So Brandon Adams is unacceptable. So is Hasim Endam. But he's better than Brandon Adams. Myself personally. Because Brandon Adams, he beat Sugar Shane Mosley Jr. And no disrespect to the Mosleys, but he's nothing like his dad. He's just not. He's not gifted like his father was. So that's not saying a lot about Golovkin picking an opponent like that. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think about Gennady Golovkin's possible opponent with Hasim Endam. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been counterpunched. Peace.